The pit of teeth and screams the sun on planet Udara was red and cruel. It burned down on the jungle clearing like a watchful eye, hot and silent. Around the pit stood dozens of aliens, laughing, cheering, waiting for blood. In the center of the clearing, there was a large, round hole. It was filled with dark water that moved strangely. The surface rippled, though no wind blew. Sharp fins broke the surface for just a second, then vanished. Something deadly waited below. Soldiers dragged the alien girl forward. She was thin. Her silver skin was bruised. Her legs were weak. A collar made of metal pulled at her neck. Chains rattled as she walked. "No," she cried out. Her voice was hoarse. "Please." The soldiers didn't stop. They pulled her to the edge of the pit, from the trees hidden in the shadows. A human watched. His name was Lucas Ward, a field scout from Earth. He wasn't supposed to interfere. Just observe. Report alien culture. Stay silent. But this wasn't culture. This was a public execution. Lucas lifted his visor. His eyes narrowed as he zoomed in on the girl. She wasn't a criminal. She wasn't a soldier. She was terrified. A voice shouted from the platform above the pit. "The beast must eat, and the failed pet shall be food." The crowd roared with laughter. Lucas saw one soldier push the girl forward roughly. She fell to her knees at the edge. Below, the water hissed and popped, bubbles rising as the piranhas felt her presence. She turned her head. For a second, just 1 second, her eyes met his. They were wide, shining, full of silent begging. And that was enough. Lucas moved. He jumped from the tree, landed silently on soft vines, pulled his pulse pistol from his back. To game. 3 guards, 2 seconds, he muttered. He fired once. The soldier holding her neck dropped. He fired twice. The next one collapsed. Screams broke through the crowd. Chaos exploded. Lucas ran forward. The girl lost balance and tumbled forward. Splash. She hit the water. Nitrogen monoxide. Lucas shouted. He leaped in after her. The water was cold, too cold and deep. Below him, something moved. Long shadows darted left and right. White flashes of teeth sparkled beneath the surface. Lucas swam fast, ignoring the sharp pain on his leg as something grazed him. He grabbed her arm. Her body was going limp. He pulled her up with one arm, holding her to his chest, and kicked hard. Sharp bite on his side. He gritted his teeth. "Hold on," he whispered to her, though she was barely conscious. Above, the crowd had scattered. Panic. Some were firing down at the water. Others were fleeing into the jungle. Lucas pulled her to the edge, climbed up, one hand gripping his gun, the other cradling her. Blood ran down his side, but he didn't care. He turned and shot at a soldier raising a rifle. The man fell. More came. He had to move. Lucas ran into the trees, carrying her in his arms. Her chains dragged behind them. He didn't stop running. Through vines, over rocks, across wet roots. He ran like a man escaping death itself. Finally, he reached his hidden drop pod site. A small cave, camouflaged by plants. He laid her down gently. On a soft blanket, she was shivering, her lips blue, her wrists bleeding. He tore open a medkit, injected her with a stim serum, and covered her in a thermal blanket. Her eyes blinked open. She stared at him, weak and confused. "Why? Did you save me?" she whispered. Lucas looked at her. Her skin was torn, her body shaking, but there was life in her eyes. He took a deep breath, because no one else would. She stared at him a moment longer, then fainted. Lucas sat back against the wall, breathing hard, his own wounds starting to burn. He looked down at her sleeping form. "Don't worry," he said softly. You're not bait anymore. The girl in the bloodwater, Lucas woke to the sound of soft whimpering. At first, he thought it was just wind whistling through the trees. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw her curled into a ball under the thermal blanket, trembling. Not from cold, but from fear. The alien girl was whispering in her sleep, words in a language he didn't understand. Her voice was broken, full of pain. She flinched even while dreaming, as if invisible hands were still hurting her. Lucas knelt beside her and gently touched her shoulder. She gasped, waking up in terror. It's okay, he said quickly, holding up both hands. You're safe. I'm not going to hurt you. She stared at him, blinking fast. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her hands pulled the blanket tighter. Hiding her bruises, he gave her space. He moved to the other side of the small cave and opened his ration pack. He warmed up some broth and poured it into a metal cup. Here, he said, placing it on a flat. Rock near her food, it'll help. She didn't move at first. But the smell reached her nose. Her stomach growled loudly. Slowly, she reached out. Her fingers were shaking. She gripped the cup like it might vanish at any moment and drank. Fast, she finished it all without a word. Lucas waited after a long silence. She finally spoke, her voice cracked and low. You are not like them. Lucas turned. Them. She nodded. Eyes still not meeting his. The ones who threw me to the teeth. The ones who called me a pet. An object. Her voice broke. Lucas clenched his fists. No, he said quietly. I'm not like them. She looked at him, truly looked at him for the first time. Why did you save me? She asked again. He hesitated. Because you looked at me, he thought. Because in that 1 second, I saw someone begging to be seen. But he simply said, you didn't deserve to die like that. A single tear rolled down her cheek. She wiped it quickly. Ashamed, Lucas stood and began cleaning his wounds. His leg had been bitten. His ribs were bruised. The med gel was working, but pain still lingered. She watched him, eyes softening. Then she said something unexpected. My name is Ashira. Lucas paused, surprised. Ashira, he repeated. That's a good name. What's yours? She asked quietly. Lucas, a faint nod. For a few minutes, neither spoke. The cave was quiet, except for the soft dripping of water from roots above. Then she said, you are bleeding. I know some jungle herbs. I can help. Lucas looked at her, unsure. She slowly crawled toward him, still weak, but determined. From the bag he carried, she took out a scanner and a small knife. Then she crawled outside, picked leaves from the edge of the cave, crushed them carefully, and returned. She applied the crushed paste gently to his bite wound. Lucas hissed. Sorry, she whispered. It cleans the poison. They feed the piranhas chemicals to make their bites burn longer. Lucas looked at her, surprised by her knowledge. You've seen others go into the pit? He asked. She nodded slowly. Too many. He didn't ask more. She wrapped a strip of cloth around his leg tightly, then sat back. Her hands were stained green from the herbs. Lucas looked at her again. She was no longer just a helpless girl. There was strength behind those eyes, buried deep, but still alive. Ashira, he said softly, what were you? Before they chained you. She looked down. Royal, she whispered. My people had a kingdom. I was born into it. Until raiders came. They took me when I was young, traded me, sold me. Her voice became a whisper. I forgot how to be a person. I only remembered pain. Lucas reached into his bag and handed her a protein bar. She looked at it like it was treasure. You're not just a person, he said. You're a survivor. She looked at him with wet eyes. For the first time, she smiled just a little, Then a loud sound broke the quiet. Boom, boom, boom. Drums in the distance. Lights flashing in the jungle. Voices shouting in alien tongues. Searchers Lucas cursed under his breath. They're hunting you, Ashera said. No, he said, loading his rifle. They're hunting us. She stood up beside him, pulling the blanket tighter around her shoulders. She was weak, but no longer afraid. I'll help. However I can, she said. Lucas nodded. The girl he had pulled from the bloodwater was no longer broken. She was still scared, still healing. But now, she was ready to fight. Her scars tell a story. Rain poured outside the cave. The jungle floor turned to mud. Drums had stopped, but the danger hadn't. Lucas sat with his rifle across his knees, his eyes watching the entrance. Every sound made his muscles tense. Ashera sat near the back, warming her hands over a small heat stone. She hadn't spoken in hours. Her thin fingers touched the edge of her collar. The metal ring still locked around her neck. Lucas finally broke the silence. I can cut that off, he said. She looked at him, uncertain. I've got a plasma torch, he added. Won't take long. Ashera hesitated, then gave a small nod. Lucas pulled the tool from his bag and walked over. She turned around and moved her hair aside. The collar was tighter than he thought. Deep red marks circled her neck. Burns, scabs, old wounds that never healed right. Hold still, he said softly. The torch hissed to life. He cut slowly, carefully. Ashera flinched once but stayed still. When the collar dropped to the floor, she didn't move. Lucas stepped back. You're free now, he said. She didn't answer. Instead, she took off the torn blanket that covered her back. Lucas froze. Her entire back was covered in scars. Some were long, jagged whip marks. Others were small, circular burns. Her skin told a story of years in chains, of being treated like nothing. She didn't cry. She didn't look at him. She just whispered, "This is why they called me a thing. Who would want something broken?" Lucas felt something heavy in his chest. He kneeled in front of her, looked her in the eyes, and said, "You're not broken. They are." Ashera looked away, unsure how to take those words. Lucas sighed. He knew he couldn't fix everything with kindness. She needed time, but at least now the collar was gone. Later, they shared food. Simple rations. She chewed slowly. Still getting used to the taste of human meals, Lucas spread out his portable scanner and pulled up a map. "We need to move," he said. "Your face is probably on every bounty screen by now, and mine too." "Where will we go?" she asked. "There's an old Earth outpost 3 valleys south, abandoned now. But if I reactivate its beacon, someone might pick us up, or the hunters might find it first." Lucas nodded. "That's the risk." She thought for a moment. "I'll go with you," she said. "You saved me." "I owe you." Lucas shook his head. "You don't owe me anything." But her eyes said otherwise. That night, as the rain softened, Ashera finally asked a question of her own. "Do humans ever fear being pets?" Lucas blinked. "What?" She looked down. "I heard stories that some species take humans too. That no one is safe from chains." Lucas was quiet for a moment. "Yes," he said. "Some humans have been captured, enslaved, experimented on. I've seen the reports." "Then why do you still help others?" she asked. He looked at her with a small smile. "Because if we stop helping the helpless, we become like them." Ashera didn't smile. But she nodded. She understood. Before dawn, Lucas packed supplies. Ashe watched him, then stood and reached for a knife. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "You know how to use that?" She gave him a sharp glance. "I may have been chained, but I was trained before that. My people were warriors once." Lucas chuckled. "Good, I'll need the help." They left the cave before sunrise. The jungle was alive with strange sounds. Creatures slithered under leaves. Giant bugs clicked in the branches. Lucas led the way, cutting through vines. Ashera followed closely. She moved with silent steps, lighter than he expected. At one point, he stumbled. She caught his arm. For a second, their eyes met. Not fear. Not pain, something else. Something starting to grow. She let go quickly and walked ahead. Lucas smiled, quietly behind her. Maybe she wasn't just surviving anymore. Maybe she was beginning to live again. By noon, the sun on Udara turned the jungle. Air into thick steam. The leaves sweated. The mud stuck to their boots. Every breath felt heavy. Lucas checked the scanner again. No signals. We're still clean. Ashera walked behind him, quiet and focused. Her steps were light, but fast. She had tied back her silver-white hair with a strip of his torn shirt. Her back still hurt, but she never complained. Then the sound came. A loud buzz, like angry wasps. Lucas dropped to one knee and pulled her down to Dot. Above them, a floating drone passed through the trees. A red laser scanned the area. It paused for a moment, then moved on. Ashera whispered, "They're hunting." Lucas nodded, "And they're close." He pulled out his wrist link and opened a secure channel to the old EarthNet. The screen blinked. Warning, wanted alert, DET-CT. Lucas's own face filled the screen, scratched, dirty, a bit blurry, but clearly him. Next to it, Asha. Her photo was older, with her still wearing the slave collar. The bounty message read, "Wanted dead or alive property thief and stolen genetic asset. Reward, 50,000 Yurok credits." Asha stared at the screen. Her lips trembled. "Asset," she whispered. Lucas tapped the screen off. "Ignore it. They can put a number on you. Doesn't mean it's true." She looked at him. 50,000 credits is more than some cities cost. That's not your worth. That's just their fear. You're a secret they don't want free. They kept walking. Faster now, by nightfall. They found a quiet ridge overlooking a broken facility, rusted metal buildings, overgrown with vines and moss. The Earth outpost. Lucas smiled for the first time all day. We made it. They climbed down slowly, carefully. A broken security door let them in. Inside, dust covered everything. Old wires, broken glass. A silent console still blinked faintly. In the corner, Lucas pulled off his backpack and connected his tools. Ashera stood in the shadows. "This place," she whispered. "It feels forgotten." "That's good," Lucas said. "Forgotten means safe." She walked slowly through the room, her fingers brushing faded human flags on the wall. "Were these your kind's homes?" "Not homes. Stations. Safe zones. Places where we watched and learned," he replied. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the hall outside. "He's in here." Lucas stood instantly, gun drawn. Ashera grabbed a blade from the pack and ducked behind a broken chair. Boots thundered. Into the room. 3 bounty hunters, all armored, alien, and smiling. "You're famous now," human one said, aiming a blaster. "And she's worth more than your ship." Lucas didn't hesitate. He fired. The blast hit one hunter in the chest, sending him flying. Ashera threw her blade. It cut clean through another's thigh. He screamed. The third rushed at Lucas with a shock baton. But Lucas ducked and slammed his rifle into the attacker's jaw. Seconds later, all 3 were on the ground. Lucas was panting. Blood ran down his arm where the baton hit him. He looked at Ashera. She stood strong, breathing hard, hands steady. "You fight like someone who's had enough," Lucas said. "I fight like someone who finally wants to live," she replied. They sealed the doors, dragged the bodies away, and reactivated the beacon. It would take time, maybe hours, maybe days. But the signal was out. Earth Command would hear it. Lucas sat back against the wall. Ashera came and sat beside him. Her arms crossed. "They won't stop, will they?" she asked. "No," he said. "They'll send more." "Then, why keep running?" He looked at her, serious now. "Because the moment we stop, they win." She looked at her hands, the scars, the dirt, the blood dot, then she nodded. "Then we don't stop." Rain came hard that night. It wasn't soft or gentle. It fell like punishment, sharp, cold, and endless. Lucas and Ashera had to leave the outpost. After the last attack, staying was too risky. More bounty hunters were coming, and the beacon had already been sent. Now they had to survive until help arrived. The path ahead led into the deep jungle, darker and thicker than before. Lucas wiped his face. "Stay close. The mud will cover our heat signatures." Ashera followed, blade in hand. Her eyes scanned every leaf, every movement. But something was wrong. The vines were too still. The air too silent. Lucas stopped. He knelt and pulled a stick. From the ground, carefully, he tapped the dirt ahead. Click, a hidden mine lit up in red. He threw the stick and pulled Ashera back just in time. Boom. The explosion shook the trees. Birds fled. Animals screeched. Light flashed through the rain. Lucas cursed under his breath. "They're setting traps now." Ashera looked shaken. "They knew we'd run this way?" Lucas checked his wrist scanner. "There's a ridge up ahead. If we climb high, we can avoid the traps." But the way wasn't easy. They crawled through vines, waded through waist-deep water. And once when a drone passed close, Ashera had to press her body flat against Lucas's. Hiding beneath a tree root, her breath was fast. So was his. Neither said a word, just silence, just rain, just survival. Finally, they found shelter under a giant rock ledge. Lucas collapsed, exhausted. Ashera sat beside him, soaked and shivering. He handed her half a ration bar. "Still tastes like rubber," he joked weakly. She gave a small smile. "Still better than nothing." Lightning lit up the sky. Thunder shook the world. Ashera turned her head and looked at him, back there. "When the trap exploded, you didn't run. You grabbed me." Lucas shrugged. "Couldn't leave you?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Do you think? If I had died in that pit, anyone would have noticed?" Lucas turned to her. "I would have." A long pause. Then something broke inside her. Something soft. Something that had been held in for far too long. She covered her face with her hands and began to cry. Not loud sobs. Just quiet, steady tears. Like the rain. Lucas didn't say anything. He didn't try to stop her. He just put his arm gently around her shoulders and let her lean against him. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I shouldn't cry." "You should." He said, "You earned those tears." She looked up at him. Her voice was barely a whisper. "They took everything from me. My name, my freedom, my family. I don't even remember what my mother's face looked like." Lucas nodded slowly. "But you remember what it feels like to be alive," he said. "That's enough to keep fighting." Ashera laid her head on his shoulder. "I don't know why you care," she said. Lucas sighed. "Because, maybe if more people had cared, you wouldn't have ended up in that pit." The rain softened. The world felt quieter now. They stayed like that for a while, two broken souls holding on to the only warmth left in the galaxy. Each other, then something blinked. On Lucas's wrist scanner, a ping dot. He sat up. Signal. Faint, but human. Ashera looked at him. "A ship, maybe," he said. "But it's far. We'll need to cross the silt marsh." Ashera stood, her eyes stronger now. "Then we go," she said. "Before the next trap finds us." Lucas smiled. She wasn't the same frightened girl anymore. She was rising, not just surviving, becoming. The sky cleared just before dawn. Mist rose off the ground as Lucas and Ashira reached the river edge, a wide stretch of black water that cut through the jungle like a wound. The old bridge was gone. Only broken steel beams remained. "We'll have to cross by raft," Lucas said. Scanning the shoreline, he started tying together old tree trunks with cable wire from his pack. Ashira helped, quiet but focused. She looked across the river and pointed. "That hill. You said the human signal came from there." Lucas nodded. "It's weak, but it's real. A ship might be waiting." The raft was barely finished when Lucas's wrist link beeped. Multiple life forms approaching. 10 meters. Armed. Lucas's head snapped up. Ashira hide. She didn't question him. She slipped behind a fallen tree while Lucas stayed low, aiming his rifle across the trees, and then they came. 6 figures, moving fast. Not bounty hunters this time. Militia, paid trackers. He saw their armbands' red symbols. Slavers. Their leader raised a megaphone. "Return the stolen creature, and we let the human live." Lucas fired first. The leader dropped. The others returned. Fire. Blasters lit up the jungle. Lucas ducked behind a log. "Ashira, move. Get to the raft." She was already sprinting toward it, her blade drawn. One tracker came too close. She slashed low and spun, striking with precision. He fell hard, groaning. Lucas joined her, covering their escape. But as they pushed the raft into the river, a shot hit Lucas in the leg. He dropped with a grunt. "Lucas." Ashira grabbed his vest and dragged him onto the raft. She paddled with a broken plank, using all her strength. Shots hit the water around them, splashing and hissing. But they drifted too far. Just out of range, Lucas clutched his thigh, blood dripping. "You saved me again," he said through gritted teeth. "No," Ashira said. "I saved us." The raft floated slowly downriver. The jungle faded behind them. They were safe for now. But Lucas was losing blood. "Lay back," Ashira said. "Don't move." She pulled out his med pack and searched for injectors. Her hands trembled, but she stayed calm. "You've done this before?" Lucas asked weakly. "No," she said. "But I watched others suffer. I remember what not to do." She injected a clot agent, wrapped his leg tight with fabric, and elevated it on her lap. "You'll live," she whispered. Lucas smiled faintly. Didn't plan on dying before breakfast. They drifted like that for hours. Finally, the raft hit a bank near a rocky slope above them. Metal shined. A ship, a human drop-dash vessel. Lucas blinked. "We found it." Ashira helped him up. He leaned on her, limping badly. They climbed slowly, each step a struggle. When they reached the landing pad, the ship's doors opened. A soldier in earth armor stepped out, rifle ready. He paused when he saw Lucas. "Sir?" the soldier asked. Lucas nodded weakly. "About time." Then the soldier looked at Ashira. What's that with you?" Lucas growled. "She's not a that. She's with me." The soldier stepped aside. Stunned, understood. Inside, the ship was warm, clean, safe. Medics rushed to Lucas, but before they closed the hatch, he pointed back. "She comes to Ashira," stood at the edge, uncertain. The soldier nodded. "We'll need clearance. She comes," Lucas said again. The soldier swallowed. "Yes, sir." Ashira stepped in. The doors closed behind her. She was inside a human ship for the first time, not as cargo, not in chains, not behind bars, but as someone. She sat beside Lucas, watching him breathe steady. "I thought I was the one rescuing you," she whispered. Lucas smiled weakly. "Turns out you rescued me too." 3 days passed. Lucas lay in the medbay of the human ship, his wounds mostly healed. His leg was bandaged. His chest was sore. But he was alive. Outside his room, Earth officers spoke in low voices, reports, orders. Scans, they didn't care about him, only what he saw, what he brought. But Lucas didn't care about them either. He only cared about the girl in the chair. Next to his bed, Nashira. She sat with perfect posture, hands folded in her lap. Her silver-white hair had been cleaned. She wore soft human clothes, now simple, loose, and warm. But her back was still straight like a fighter, not a guest. "You didn't sleep," Lucas said. His voice rough. "I didn't want to," she replied. "Not until I knew you'd wake up again," he smiled. "Am I that important to you now?" She looked away. Then she whispered, "You were the only one who ever chose me." The room went quiet. Then a soft beep. An officer entered. "Mr. Ward," he said. "She can't stay on this ship. She has no status, no identity papers, no species registry. Technically, she doesn't exist." Lucas sat up, wincing. "Then give her status. Make her real." The officer frowned. "We can't just do that. She's not even from a known system." Lucas stared at him. "Then give her my last name." The officer blinked. "You want to sponsor her?" Lucas didn't answer with words. He turned to Ashera and reached out his hand. "Would you like that?" he asked. She looked at his hand, then at him. Her lips trembled. I've never had a last name before," she said. "Then let's make it a first," he smiled. Tears welled up in her eyes. She nodded slowly. The officer stepped back awkwardly. "Fine. We'll draft the paperwork." He left them alone. Lucas leaned back. "Now you're real," he whispered. "Asher." I wiped her face. "I've always been real," she said softly. They just didn't see it. That evening, the ship landed at Earth Forward Base -9 when the doors opened. Ashera stepped into a new world, one where the air didn't smell like chains, where no one shouted orders and no one raised a whip. She walked beside Lucas, who leaned on a cane. People stared. Some whispered, but she didn't hide. Later that night, Lucas took her to the garden deck on the station rooftop. It was quiet, peaceful. The stars above looked soft, not cruel. Ashera looked up. "Do you think my people are still out there?" Lucas shook his head. "I don't know. I'd like to find them," she whispered. "Not to go back, just to tell them I made it." He nodded. "You'll find them one day," he said. "And when you do, they'll know their princess lived." She turned to him. "You don't have to call me that." Lucas smiled. "I don't. But maybe you can call me something." "Like what?" He took a slow breath. "Friend, family, something more, if you want." Her eyes widened. "I don't know what I'm ready for," she admitted. "That's okay," he said. "I'll wait." She stepped closer, put her head gently on his shoulder. "I've had chains on me for so long, but now I feel something stronger." "What's that?" She looked at him. "Freedom," she whispered. They stood like that as the wind blew softly through the garden. No collar, no cage, no pit, just a girl who was once thrown to piranhas, and the human who saw her soul before he saw her scars.